All right, all right. What is going on? Community with closers. Pat Clark here. We have an amazing guest. We go way back. I'm super excited to have him on. But thank you again for being here. We're excited with this community. This is where you want to be. We're bringing in amazing guests that you can get some content, you can get some action items, and you're hearing from stories from the OGs of the industry. And it's been a blast. I'm learning a lot having everybody on. And it's just a blast to be able to talk to people and have them on that you haven't seen in years, right? And so without further ado, we have the man, Tim Aselton in the house. What is up, brother?
Hey, buddy. How are you doing, Pat?
Doing well, man. I got to play the song now.
Yeah. All right. All
Good
right.
stuff. Good stuff. Well,
Yes,
dude,
sir.
thank you so much for being on Community with Closers. I know
Yeah,
it's
of
kind of
course.
like a little short notice, but you're like, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Love it, man. So what I want to do is kind of, this is going to be awesome where it's 30 minutes, you know what I mean? Like jam-packed 30 minutes. So we'll kick it off with your story. And obviously we got to talk about how we met and all the fun stuff with that. But if you don't mind, man, let's kick it off with your story, how you got in the industry, your background, and I'll just let you take it from here.
All right. Well, my background is not business as much as it is just tinkering and figuring things out. So my whole life, I've always had to figure out how things work. So I started a pressure washing business. Just I bought a used rental pressure washer from the company I was working for. I worked for a rental company,
Oh,
and I
okay.
loved washing, track hose and backhoes and all these things with a pressure washer. And I thought, man, that would be really cool to use this and as a job, whatever. And so I decided to go to fire school, and I had to have something to do to make some money while I went to fire school. So I bought a pressure washer from the rental company,
Mm.
left the rental company, and then started knocking on doors and washing people's houses. Back in 1994 is when I started this.
Ooh.
And then I, kind of kept going, kept, beating the bushes and this, that, the other. And then I ended up getting the job with the fire department in 96 and continued my business. And then I got a truck, and got a second washer and this, that, the other, and had my job and had a little security and started really kind of, working on the efficiency of what I was doing. I'm a
Yeah.
real efficiency is very important to me, and just trying to not necessarily figure out a better way, but just to be more efficient. So as kind of time went on, was kind of, you had a Clorox bottle of bleach and a little bit of laundry detergent, and 5 gallon bucket, and you mixed it up and you sprayed it on with your pressure washer and you rinsed it off, and everything, was pretty amazing. Got to started renting surface cleaners. We called them scrubbers back then.
Yep.
Renting surface cleaners when they first came out. I think Simpson was the first one I ever saw, and and then as we get closer, towards 2000, somewhere in that range, late 90s, we started having a lot of these soft washing companies kind of pop up in the Tallahassee area.
Hmm.
And one of the bigger ones was very impressive. Big Isuzu NPRs. I remember you had one. I had one. I had two.
Yep.
Um, and I really started paying attention, to what they were doing. They kept calling it soft wash. And I said, well, what's the difference? I can run circles around you. I'm pretty darn efficient with what I'm doing. I got my three, four, five, six pieces of hose laid out here. And and I started to see that more and more people were transitioning into that soft washing, as they would actually tell me, are you going to, I need to answer this question. Are you going to soft wash my house? Or are you going to pressure wash?
Mm.
And I said, well, I'm not, I'm going to pressure wash it softly, and they said, well, we really want it soft wash. This was happening in Tallahassee back then. And so I was like, well, heck, I gotta see what this is all about. So I got up with a buddy, and he was actually soft washing. And I know this is going to go over just crazy, but soft washing, as I knew it back in the late 90s, was not pressure washing. You didn't have a pressure washer, you didn't use a pressure washer, you used electric pumps, and it was
Yeah.
separate from pressure washing. Now, you pressure wash concrete, things like that, but you soft wash, which means you spray a solution, a premixed solution on a surface, and then you use that same pump to rinse it off. You never used a pressure washer. It was always electric pumps in Tallahassee,
Yeah.
and so I finally got one, and the first time I used it, I said, "Wow, this is pretty amazing." I'm still using my pressure washer to do concrete and this, that, the other. But the soft washing was just like, wow, you could do it in your flip flops. You could have a drink in one hand and spray with the other. It was just, it was pretty simple. It was a garden hose nozzle and a 1/2 inch hose. And things kind of, started to transition a little bit. I started using a little bit more and I started seeing the inefficiencies in it,
Hmm.
and having to make these batch mixes all the time. Like,
Oh my
you make
word.
no, you make, you're
Yeah.
like, well, I can spray that with about 10 or 15 gallons. Well, you actually needed 17 gallons. And then, this, that, the other. And I put too much soap in it. I didn't put enough bleach in it. I didn't put enough water in it, or, all
Hmm.
these different things and all the inconsistencies that were, constant. And so you got to fast forward now. So I transitioned in early 2000, 2001, 2002, somewhere in there, strictly to cleaning exteriors like that. And of course, the groundwork was always concrete, was always pressure wash. So, but these mixes, and it was always an issue. It was an issue. You parked on the road, and the crown of the road's got your tank leaning to the side. It says 20 on one side, 40 on the other. Is it 30? Is it, what, and then I'm dropping in, more SH, and it, this, that, the other. And so it was just this, nothing was right. It just didn't seem right to me. And I spent too much time doing it.
Hmm.
So sometime, let's call it 2013 or 14 or something like that, I started really going out because I was getting busier. I was doing full-time schedule and part-time work, and I'm a fireman. I got a wife, 3 boys, and I'm working my tail off on my days off, and I'm leaving from washing, going straight to work, and then back and forth, back and forth. So I needed something to be more efficient. I needed to do what I was doing better and quicker, and I needed to cut out a lot of this nonsense of making all these batch mixes. So I started kind of dabbling around and found, this, that, the other, and I was trying to do Venturi type stuff like your chemical injector. That just didn't make your solutions hot enough. You just couldn't get to the ratios we needed.
Mm.
On a roof, you're going to need, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50% sometimes on roofs. You can't do that with Venturi. So I knew that wasn't going to work after experimenting with all those. And then, there were these chlorine valves. They called them a chlorine valve. We know chlorine's a deadly gas, but it was on your chlorinator on your pool, and
Hmm.
they were all over the place. And it had a little dial and had numbers on it. And I was like, well, heck, And then I run into one of these guys that has this business that used to work at the big NPR, Azusa NPR truck, company, that big company. And he said, hey, I use this on my bleach tank. And he would sit there and hold it open while
Mm.
another guy sprayed down, 100, 200 foot away. And then when the guy quit spraying, he'd turn it off, and I'm thinking, what in the world? But he was nice enough to show me what he was doing. Well,
Yeah.
I sat on that for a while and was like, golly, that just doesn't seem like the way to go either. There's no way you can really do this, and you're only really bringing in a little bit of SH, and he was putting his soap in his SH tank. And
Mm.
so he had soap, but he didn't know how much soap he had. He didn't, you didn't have, there was nothing was set in stone. And I just kept searching. And And then one day it kind of hit me. Well, what if I did it on the intake side, and I did one for water, one for soap, and one for the SH, one for the bleach. And I did it, and I put it all together, and I ran it, and I was spraying it, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is working. I'm actually, and then I let off the trigger, and everything started mixing. The
Oh
bleach
no.
went in the water went in the soap, and I was like, "Oh my God, I need check valves." I gotta. So, anyways, I worked on this for quite some time, and
Mhm.
at some point in time, I put it all together, and it finally worked.
Yep.
And then I took my mix tank. You had a water tank, you had a bleach tank, and you had a mix tank. You know, I took my mix tank off the truck, and I just had water and your SH, your bleach, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
and then I had a little soap tank that I would dump into the tank, and we just said the heck with it. We're going to do it, and
Yeah.
so I had a guy that was helping me and stuff, and we went and tackled, big job. First time I ever used it was a big job, and we were absolutely blown away. And it still needed a lot of work, and I still needed to get, the bugs worked out. And those valves, they were hit and miss. They would leak, and if you tightened the fitting into it too tight, it would break and split. Then you would be drawing air, and all this stuff. So I
Yep.
I had to kind of refine it, and then the springs on the check valves were rusting out, and it didn't matter if you flushed them or what, and so I had to figure out a better material to use instead of stainless steel. And so a lot of these things just kind of happened on top of each other just out of necessity.
Yeah.
But the whole reason I did all this wasn't to make something. It was just to be better at what I was doing, to be more efficient, to try to keep up with the Raymond Burks in Tallahassee that were, running circles around me. And I had a part-time job, and, our fire department job was a, 3 days a week job. And so I had, other commitments. So I had to really maximize everything. And so, one day all this finally came together, and it was just amazing, and I had this thing, and I knew that it was special. I knew that it was important, and I've never seen one before. I had no idea what any other industries were doing or whatever. I've heard so many things,
Yeah.
but so I had this thing, and then we had a horrible call at the fire department, and it kind of made everybody stop that was on that call and think,
Mm.
wow, that was pretty close to, that was bad. And this particular incident, this call, this guy set his house on fire, and he waited there for us, and he had a gun, and he had this, that, the other, and
Oh.
the sheriff's deputies happened to get there first, and he actually killed one of the sheriff's deputies, got to a gunfight and then all the cops came and they killed him. Well, we were we were delayed. We were supposed to be there,
Hmm.
and it kind of spun everybody, everybody, all the people, the firefighters and everything that were involved in that call. We all kind of thought, well, damn, man, this could have been, really bad. So
Yeah.
personally, I thought, like, well, hell, I got a second chance, And so if you got a second chance, what are some of those things that you didn't do that you would do if you had a second chance? And so I thought, well, heck, I'll give this thing a go and see if we can bring this product to market,
That's amazing.
and so that's kind of where it all began. And then, my good friend Raymond Burke, he kind of, I went and talked to him. I showed him what I had. He was like, "Oh man, I can't believe you hadn't told me about this," because I would hide it. I would hide it
Yep.
from him. He would come around. I'd see him all the time. We'd be in the middle of a neighborhood washing a house, and I'd see his truck, and I'd say, "Go close the box. Go hide it from him. I don't want him to see it." So I,
That's
got
funny.
got together with him, and was thinking, who would be the best person to bring this to market, this, that, the other. And I'd been doing some research myself, and so ended up going with Power Wash Store, Paul Cassander, and we, brought this thing to market. And you know, before I went to him, I went and applied for a patent on this thing, and I was told
Hmm.
to do this, and And so, that kind of launched it. Well, then we show up in Charleston. You were there. I'm in Charleston, I'm pretty
I'll
sure.
never forget it, man. The
Yeah.
proportioner.
Yeah. So we were there and we launched this thing, and everybody's like, what?
Yep.
That's not going to work. And, this, that, the other. And I'm thinking, well, I've already tested this thing up and down.
Yeah.
It does work. And so it just kind of started, and it kind of, kind of like a little snowball going. It just kind of started gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining. And then the kind of the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the what something I wanted to talk about was the patent and the patent process and what all this means. And there's so many stories about, my patent, this, that, the other, and so many misconceptions. And what I applied for, and this would be dating all the way back to 2015, is when I, first applied for the patent. And my attorney at the time decided that the best patent for us to get, because I could get a patent on the box and the internal parts, this, that, the other, and somebody else could make one just a little bit different. It wasn't that big of a deal. But she wanted to do a method patent. So it's not necessarily about the proportioner at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the method of drawing three independent, liquids, three or more, whatever, and bringing them through a proportioning device. So the patent is more about how we're doing it, and not
Mm-hmm.
about the device that's actually doing it. That's a small part of it,
Got it.
but it's about pulling through, using the pump to pull through the proportioner or a proportioning device, and then out a line, out a nozzle, and spray it on exterior surfaces with the intent of exterior cleaning, blah blah blah. So it was never really about the proportioner itself. The proportioner was just the best version of what the method was. So the
Mm-hmm.
best version of proportioning was the proportioner, and it's built like a tank. I know you at one point in time you had quite a few of them, and
Shoot.
there's
Yeah, we had over 12 of those things.
yeah. I remember coming to help you back then, and
Oh my word. Yeah.
yeah,
Setting up the NPR
yeah,
in all the trucks too.
we built that NPR, and then a couple of the smaller trucks and stuff. But it's funny. It's just an idea I had, and
Mhm.
for some reason, I ended up like so many people have enjoyed it, and this, that, the other, and then I ended up with a lot of enemies that I don't know how I did.
Mm.
Just because I came up with this, and I said, well, this is my idea, which it was. And so I've been in the patent process now for quite some time. And the funny thing about it is that my patent has never lost.
Mhm.
They just keep sending more stuff my way. So I'm actually at a point where they send me, and it's been seven different items, that stuff that has been applied for, patents that
Mhm.
haven't even existed, just applied for. But they'll send three and say, well, if you took this from this and this from this and this from this, we can see how your client came up with this. And
Mm.
so we're having to fight all these things, and we keep fighting them, and we haven't lost. They just keep sending more and more. So I'm not sure how all this is going to play out or whatever, but
Sure.
the patent is still alive. I'm still patent pending.
Nice.
And I left my one attorney after, Raymond helped me a little bit. We saw some inefficiencies and this, that, the other, had some problems. And so I'm with a new attorney now, and he took everything and kind of bundled it up and spit it back out. So I'm hoping
Okay.
that this may stick, or whatever. That's not that's not the goal. In this wasn't for me to get a
Yeah.
patent, this, that, the other. My goal was just to build something that was more efficient.
Yeah. And
And
it was.
yeah, and it is, and it spun everything that's kind of happening now. And it's pretty
Oh,
amazing. I mean, I got to go to Australia and teach the Australians how to soft wash using my equipment, and
yeah.
we went over to
That's
England, did the
amazing.
same thing over there, and
Yep.
been all over the country, and got to meet people like yourself. And can I tell the story about coming to your house the first time?
You sure can. Yeah.
Do you have a second? All right. So I get to pass. I get to your house, and there's a tractor moving in the yard, and oh heck, well look at this. And so there's a person driving the tractor, and there's also a child in there, and then there's another child, and then there's a goat. And the goat is not like around the tractor. The goat is up in the tractor, and it's your wife, and she's tiny little thing, bless her heart, and she's trying to get enough weight on the seat so that the tractor will engage and move forward because it's got a weight pressure switch on it, right? So she has a goat and two children in her just to get it to move, and she's doing chores in the yard with the tractor. And I said, "Oh my God, I'm home. This is it right here." Oh
She is
man.
amazing. I'll tell you though, she is a problem solver, man. There's nothing she can't do.
Yeah, yeah, I've got one. I certainly got one.
Yep.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
That's
this,
awesome.
the proportioner stuff. It's taken some crazy little roads, and I've been involved in a lot of crazy stuff. We're actually in the process now of doing some changes with it, and we got this second quarter this year we're looking at changing a lot of things to it, and making a couple different versions of it, and kind of doing a refresh on it we should have done a year or two ago, and
Sure.
I got ideas for some different things, and want to make it a little more accessible, and everything needs maintenance, so kind of making a box that's a lot easier to get in and out of and work on and stuff. So got a
Love
lot of
that.
ideas for that, and we'll be doing some changes with that. And you talk about all the and I'm sure you have a trademark on the your soaps and this, that, the other, and everything. And I
Yep.
was able to get the trademarks on the proportioner, the trademarks on the logos, all that stuff. Apple Wash, I got the trademark on the Apple Wash as well. And
Love it.
which has been an amazing soap. That was something that I just kind of said, what if we did, and it's not the first dye soap to ever come out and this, that, the other. I mean, they've been doing these things for years,
Mhm.
but it was that particular color, that particular fragrance, which was the apple, of course, and then a nice surfactant, whatever. So it kind of made a something a little bit unique, and that's done really well. And
Mhm.
another thing, well, I came up with several different things, but everything was about efficiency. So the Pro Switch that I developed was a chemical proof pressure switch.
Yes.
So you had to turn the pumps on, you had to turn pumps off when you needed to, but there wasn't anything available in our industry, So I kept thinking, how in the world am I going to put, you know, SH soap, all that up into a pressure switch? And then one day I was sitting at Pinch a Penny waiting to get my SH, and the tanker pulled up, and he was offloading the SH, and he had this little disc underneath his pressure gauge on the truck itself, because they would pump air into the truck, and the air would displace, the fluid into the tank. It's how they ran that.
Mhm.
And I asked the guy, I said, "What is that thing?" He said, "I don't know, man. It keeps the chemicals off the gauge." And I thought, well, isn't that genius?
Mm.
Something from their industry. And
Yep.
then, I developed a pressure switch that was activated by that particular, chemical isolator, it's called.
Nice.
And it's pulling things from other places that, you know, soft washing, I mean, when I started with it was pretty darn new,
Yeah.
So you had to go out and find stuff to do this with, and I mean, even back then I was getting my first website, and I had a guy helping me at the fire station, and he said, what do you do? And I said, well, I soft wash. And he said, well, what? So we looked up softwash.com. Well, Johnson and Johnson owned that at the time. They still do. I'm back ordered for that for like the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years.
Oh, wow.
But so I got softwashing.com. Well, nobody knew what soft washing was. So, I was
Yeah.
able to get it, but um, I'm rambling, but you're talking about, the proportioner, you're just talking about how do you get from here to there? You know what I
That's
mean?
what I'm
And
saying. Like, you revolutionized the industry because, for me, I didn't know anything, right? It was batch mixing. We had a 15-gallon tank in the back, and we would literally 5-gallon buckets,
yeah,
5,
yeah,
10,
yeah,
15.
yeah, yeah,
And then we had lines, on there, and then you
yeah,
couldn't really
yeah.
like employee proof your company because they're
Oh
like,
my
how do I
goodness.
get rid of? I mixed it too strong, and now how am I going to do the house wash?
Yep.
I'm like, dang, we need a bigger tank to dilute it, right?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
when that came out, I was like, Tim, like, what do I
yeah.
need to do to get you up here? Where, you know what I mean?
Well, in Raymond as well. Raymond was one of the first guys to actually put it in one of his trucks, and the trucks that were going out every day.
Yeah,
And so he put it in, and the guys were just thrilled. The guys would fight over that truck because it had the proportioner on it,
I believe
and they
that.
would actually do more work, and they would come back, and he would say, "What are you doing? You had to do this, that, the other." And they said, we did it
Yeah.
all." And then so he started adding more work on, but this has become the norm now, But so many guys in the industry today have no idea how we used to how we used to fight with the
I
batch
know they
mixer.
have it so good.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh
insane.
God.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, they're complaining a little bit, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
like, turn a dial 1, 2, 3. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. That was, I remember, and I still have that proportioner. I still have that original box, and I changed
Yes.
the guts around quite a bit because again, you got to find the right equipment. You can't
Yeah.
just throw cheap stuff together, and
Sure.
cheap stuff is just temporary. If you want to build something that's going to last, you got to use the good stuff. So
Yeah.
but I still, yeah, I still have. I remember the first job we ever used it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changed a lot of things. I'm grateful for that. Yeah,
Yep.
certainly, 100%. Yeah,
No, I
I'm
love it,
grateful for that.
man.
Yeah,
It's crazy because I remember watching you and like at the events and stuff like that. When you talk about efficiency and you would
yeah,
have the water gauge, and we were like, where the heck
yeah,
is he getting this water gauge from? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know
Flow,
exactly how many
flow
gallons
meters.
the flow. Yeah.
Yeah, flow
Yeah.
meters. Yeah. So I mean, everything is based on flow, and
Mm-hmm.
so in the fire service, the same way. I mean, we all know if you're going to run long distance, you're going to need, more heavier diameter hose, this, that, the other. And so fire services, it was all kind of tied together. I mean, we knew that already from that. And, but if you really want to be efficient and this, that, the other, and we really built that thing for the 4, 5, 6 gallon a minute type flows, and so we had to adapt. We started
Mm-hmm.
using bigger pumps. We made a high flow proportioner that would flow those volumes, that people were asking for, and we got in mind a third version, if you will, that does somewhere in the middle and a little bit more efficient. You create a lot of vacuum on those things, and you
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of resistance, natural resistance through those valves and stuff, and check valves and everything. So you got to kind of accommodate for that. And as things change, we've been able to adapt and do that. But what I started with, doing it in the yard there, working on it, testing it. I actually tested a part of it at the fire department.
Oh, okay.
Has become, the standard across, well, every place I've ever been. It's become kind of the standard way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm very proud of it. There's no doubt about that. And I've gotten such amazing feedback. I was over there with Australians that were thanking me. They're on the other side of the world. They're
Mm-hmm.
in tomorrow already, and they're waking up right now and they're washing houses, and feeding their families off of
Yeah.
something that I came up with in the alleyway of the fire station. You know what I mean?
That's pretty
So
amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a pretty amazing ride, and again, meeting people like yourself, and there's so many amazing guys in the
Yeah.
industry that I've just been very fortunate to be around, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, that
very
kind of leads me to my next question too. Like, going to the events and like promoting, the product and bringing it to the industry. What was that like? Just seeing all the proportioners going out, like meeting new people, seeing them, like you said, the success stories. What was that like? You know what I mean? Like just getting that traction, then starting to sell a lot of these things. What was that
yeah.
like for you?
That was overwhelming. I mean, we had shows everywhere. We did, Florida brings a lot of shows in, especially in the
Yeah.
wintertime, stuff like that. So some of these were local, but I mean, again, you know, went to Australia 3 different times doing this stuff and over to England, been all over, really I mean, if you really think about it, if you go out west, I mean, it dries up at some point, you know what I mean? And you don't really have
Yeah.
the mildew and everything you do. So everything's kind of up this eastern seaboard and stuff. But traveling and meeting all these people and I mean, here I'm just, man, I'm an average guy like everybody else. I had a pretty good idea. I'm pretty good at tinkering with stuff. There were people that were just amazed by what I did, and I'm amazed that they're amazed because I'm no different than anybody else. I just had a good idea
Yeah.
and just kind of figured it out, if you will. There was kind of like there wasn't a race for this, but on the old boards back in the day, soft washing this, that, the other, and everybody's trying to figure out a better way, this, that, the other.
Hmm.
But meeting these people and then hearing their stories, like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness, you completely changed our business. We this year we're adding a new truck, and our business is growing and we're able to do more work, and thank you so much. And it's like, it's been amazing, and it's been a long time now,
Yeah.
and uh and I still have contact with people, and I've been off social media and stuff for the past 2 years.
Smart
Um,
man.
well, I just did.
Yeah.
But I don't have as much contact with everybody, that I did. But I still have, like you and I talking or whatever. It's just like the day last time we talked, and
Yep.
it's like that for all these guys. And I was, my buddy Ken D'Amato was trying to, get to your thing tonight or whatever,
Yep.
But I miss doing that. I miss traveling around. I miss those big functions and stuff, and
Mhm.
we have all these different associations now, and on all these different shows and stuff, and it's pretty amazing. We got an amazing group of people that do this. I've been very impressed, with the other people in the industry that I've met, and then listen, when somebody tells you, hey man, I bought the proportioner, it changed our whole business. I mean, you can't feel much better than that. I mean, they're actually getting to go through what I went through,
Mhm.
when I first did that. So I kind of know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And then you transition to today. Well, that's what everybody does.
Yeah.
So that part of it's kind of wild to me that
I know,
there's
it's
just
just the thing now.
no, it's just normal.
Yeah.
It's just normal. Where it's certain my wife's got the puppy and she's trying to hide from the camera. Oh God, he's a mess.
That's awesome.
Um, but
No.
meeting you, your kids, your wife. I mean, all these shows, and I'm grateful for all the experiences I've had. And I just think that there's a need for something everywhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I didn't set out to do anything. I just set out to make it more efficient, you know?
Yep. Well,
So,
that's what it is, right? It's amazing how you find something more efficient or something that works a little better, and then you work it out, and then you're like, man, kind of like same thing with gutter butter. Like I didn't think I was ever gonna like sell that, right? I just had
Right.
something that
Yeah.
was really good. And I helped, kind of make that thing.
Yeah.
And now I was just calling it gutter butter because people used to call me, Butterfingers in school because I couldn't catch the dang ball. You
I didn't
know?
know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, but listen, but gut is, I mean, that sells itself right there, right?
That's
So,
right. That's right.
no, and there's a lot of responsibility when you come up with something like that. You had to name it, right?
Yep.
And so I had to name Proportioner, and I had to name Apple Wash and all these
Yeah.
different things where you had to. There's a responsibility there,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing, and but yeah, I remember when you first started with the gutter butter stuff. I mean, I was like, that is perfect,
Yeah.
perfect,
I still got
absolutely.
that picture, man, of you holding it in front of the NPR.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
times, man.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
So I know you got the boat and stuff. So for viewers watching, like we always got to ask, right? Because it's business, but it's also family, it's life, right? Like the
Yeah,
business is just the avenue to get
yeah,
what your
yeah,
true why is. So tell me
yeah,
what you
yeah.
got going on, man. What's in store for Tim Aselton?
Well, I went to sea school and got my captain's license,
Nice.
and I had a tour boat, custom tour boat built, and I want to do boat tours, and I want to show people. I have a vision.
Mm.
I just I got a knack for seeing things in the water. I hunt when I fish, and I use elevation. I have towers in my boats, and I use elevation to see down in the water, and I fish for the things I see.
Yeah.
And so anytime anybody comes around here and I take them for a boat ride or whatever, I'm always showing them, all these fish, and they're always amazed and this, that, the other. And I said, you know what? Maybe I can get a bigger boat where I can put more people up top in a tower, and show them around and do tours and scenic, let
That's
them,
awesome.
eco based and this, that, the other. There's a
Yep.
lot to see around here, but the water is so clear and the fish are so visible between sharks and dolphin and stingrays and turtles and
That's
big
cool.
schools of jack and drum and things like that. So
Yep.
that's what I'm doing. I finally got the boat. I think we got it all dialed in now. I just got it back today. Matter of fact, you and I were talking, and
Yep.
I got the top put back on it. It's a 11 by 30 fiberglass pontoon boat
That
with a
is
12
awesome.
with a 12-foot long, 10-foot wide upper station with seating for 8 to 10 up top,
Wow.
and I'm gonna conduct my tours from up there and have everybody, with polarized glasses on, look down in the water and see all these amazing things that
Yeah.
they couldn't see if they were just standing in the boat.
Yep.
So, but anyway, that's what I'm doing now, Pat. I'm
I hear
trying to raise a puppy over here, and he's a mess. But I'm trying. I want to do that. I want to share that I have, that vision that I have with people, because there's something calming about that. You know what I mean? It's nature, and it's actually real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's real. And
Yeah.
so I want to show people, hey, put your phones down for just a minute. Although I know they're going to want to take a picture of it, but I want you to see, what happens all around us every day that
Yeah.
you probably are not aware of. And so
Yeah.
uh, that's been that's kind of been on my mind, and so I've been going through this process. I haven't invented anything or whatever. It's just, but I just want to get up higher,
Yep.
and so people can see down in that water. And so
I love
there
it,
aren't
man.
there
Yeah,
aren't
I
many
think
boats you can do that with. So
yeah. Well, I think, people in general, like, are wanting to get out more. They're wanting to do the RV thing. They're wanting to get out and see things that they've never
yeah,
saw
yeah,
before. So I
yeah,
think that's awesome.
which is I I can talk for days or whatever, but it helps me connecting back with nature. It just kind of helps to calm things down. And I
Yeah.
had 25 years in the fire service. I've saw a lot of crazy stuff, and when you see stuff like that, you see the fish and you see their behavior and you see, all how things work. The birds, all everything like that. It just kind
Hmm.
of takes the edge off a little bit, and I think that by showing people that, maybe they'll feel the way I do, and so
Yeah,
it'll help them as well.
for
So
sure.
yeah.
All right. So the final question, man. So I know you said you got a couple of things you're working on with the proportioner, like maybe coming out with. So with that, where are they going to be able to see it? So I want to see it. You know what I mean? I want to see it. I always like new inventions and people coming up with cool things because
Yeah,
it intrigues
yeah,
me.
yeah. So we're working on, a few things. It's gonna be there's gonna be some pretty serious transitions going on with the proportioner and Apple Watch as well in
Nice.
the near future. We don't really, know how everything's going to be, where it's going to be, and everything right now. We're still kind of a
Sure.
little bit of limbo here, but I've got some amazing ideas, and the biggest thing to me is just being able to maintenance these things, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. Here are the parts. Here it's put together like this. This makes it work better, longer, this, that, the other. But
Hmm.
you're gonna have to get in there and work on it. You just are.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can't build something in this industry with the sodium hypochlorite that's just
Yeah.
gonna hold up forever. So I think one of the advantages is being able to access it and being able to fix it on the job. You know what I mean? Where the box that we're in now, it's a little bit cumbersome, and it takes a little effort to get into it and stuff. So there'll be advantages to the new designs and stuff like that. But as of
Love it.
right now, I'm not really sure exactly where we're going with it. But it's happening. But there's you got to stay tuned. You got to
That's
you got
it.
to
That's
see
it.
what's coming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yep. You got to
I'm
stay
excited.
tuned, guys. Stay tuned.
Yeah,
Tim Aselton, you
yeah,
heard it first here on Community with
yeah,
Closers.
yeah,
That's awesome, man.
yeah. Absolutely.
Well, congrats on
Yeah.
everything, dude. It's
Oh
been
man.
amazing,
Thank
watching
you.
it, watching you, because you're
Yeah,
such an authentic guy in the industry, and we need more of those, right?
yeah. We do. I've been around a lot of people in the industry and stuff, and you know, I don't know. I just try to do my thing, and like my amazing buddy Carlos Gonzalez. He says, "You just got to stay in your lane, my man. Just stay in your lane, So I try to stay in my lane, and
That's
I
it.
see, I see.
Yeah, he
Oh,
just
he's on
commented.
now.
Don't forget
Don't
Fiji.
forget Fiji. Oh, he knows I'll never forget Fiji. You can't forget Fiji. Fiji was a stop point on the way to Australia.
Oh,
And
nice.
and then he was this dive in and all this stuff, and oh my gosh. So yeah, don't get me going on that. But yeah, he's been a big part of my life, and in this life, this cleaning life. Him and I hooked up early on, and it's been a heck of a friendship, and as well as yourself and many others.
Yeah.
But Carlos and I have a special relationship, and I appreciate him.
I love Carlos,
Yeah,
man. Such a
yeah,
good dude. He'll
yeah,
give you the shirt off his back, brother.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, anyways, I see so many things happening, and it's
Hmm.
just you know, I don't know. You got to look at things in life that are real. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's so much. So many of these things are just smoke and mirrors, and this, that, the other, and the things in life that count are real. The real
Yep.
things. So and I know that the things that you do with your wife and kids and the trips you guys do and the things you guys heck I saw you doing in the backyard, all these things, these big huge slip and slots and all these things.
Yep.
Those are real, those are real
Yeah.
things. So yeah, that's what, in my opinion, that's what life's about, you know what I mean? So
I
uh,
agree.
we have to work, we got to make ends meet, and we got to do these things, and in this cleaning industry, I'm glad that was able to foster this and bring it out and evolve this into what it has been and this, that, the other. And I'm glad I have a little, I got a little footprint in there somewhere.
Yep.
And so, but in the grand scheme of things, your family and everything and that's what's most important in this world.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
buddy.
with you there. Well,
Yeah,
dude, I appreciate it. We're right at 45 minutes, so we
yeah.
crushed it, man. I mean, that went by quick. I'm like,
Nah,
holy moly.
I think we just started, so yeah, that's
I know
fine.
it. I
Yeah,
know it.
yeah,
Sometimes I hate to be like, oh man, we're at 45 minutes. I try to keep them 30, 30, 45 max.
yeah,
But
yeah,
no, this is good conversation, man. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
exciting, to know you and be a part of that. Like just having you come up, you know what I mean? What meant the world to me because
Yeah, well, listen, you were so that's why I did it. I didn't listen. I didn't get in my truck and drive to South Carolina
I
for
know.
anybody, for
Yeah.
anybody. And I don't even, I mean, I went and helped a couple of people out, period.
Yeah.
No, you were a good guy, very important to me and the family and everything. So, that was a no brainer. And matter of fact, I think I camped there twice.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been a while, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on and let me tell my story
Sure.
a little bit. Yeah.
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 Well, we'll definitely have to have you on for, episode 2, when we see the unrolling of the
Yeah.
ideas. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. 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 Well, it's exciting. It's exciting. But I do
Yeah.
appreciate it, Pat. I really do.
Yes, sir. Well, likewise, I appreciate you. And for everybody watching, thank you guys for tuning in. Tim Aselton, you guys got to follow him, look him up. He's got some amazing stuff coming up. But again, thank you, Tim, for being
All right,
on.
buddy.
And thanks for joining this evening, taking your time out of
Absolutely.
your evening and being
Absolutely.
here.
Okay, buddy.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. See you. Bye.